Wow. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. This is Toyin Umesiri. I know today we're starting this live engagement um, at a different time. It's because the last 2.5 hours I was attending a major conference and speaking at a major conference hosted in Bogota, Colombia, so Latin America. Pretty much sharing market insights in terms of engagement between Africa and Latin America. So I've been talking all morning. It's 11:42 here in Chicago. I know it's on the Eastern time. It's already afternoon. So good afternoon, anybody joining us on the Eastern time. Good morning for those in California, and good afternoon, good evening to people joining us from all over the world. Wow. So yeah, I've been talking all day, all morning, and I'm hyped up a little bit because it's so exciting to see that Latin America is interested in also learning and engaging in trading Africa with Africa. So I was able to present, share information with them, and they had some very amazing questions. And maybe I'll share a little bit today as well. So today's topic, so this entire week I've been trying something new, coming live every day, moving things on my calendar so I can do this every day. Today's topic is about policy engagement, policy management. So if you're live, please say hi. You know how we do this. I want to engage with those that are watching. I want to hear you say hello. I want to know where you're joining from, and I want to know what questions you have on your mind. If you're not part of our trade network, you want to join. If you're interested in being a part of Trade with Africa, you want to join this network, you're going to be able to connect with people from all over the world, from policymakers to trade experts to potential partners, things like that. There's also a new tool we'll be launching and sharing in a few days. So I'll share more. You want to watch out for that. That's something we've been working on for years that provides visibility and trade information about Africa. Olawumi joined us. I suspect that you joining us from Nigeria. Stay safe there. We're really watching what's going on. I can't even believe it. Things can change in 24 hours just like that, like boom. So please do stay safe if you're joining us from Nigeria. We're watching it really closely. We're so shocked, but my prayers goes out to those in Nigeria. So today we want to talk about policy engagement, and Luis Lando is joining from South Africa. Hi, how are you? Thank you for joining. At Chimpong. Oh wow, thank you for joining. Hello, yes. So I was just saying for those just joining that the last 2.5 hours I've been attending a conference hosted in Bogota, Colombia, engaging in and sharing information about opportunities for Africa to work with Colombia, to work with Latin America across the various countries in Latin America, and I was helping answering their questions. Oh, allow me, you said you're here in Chicago. See, I'm telling those people here in Chicago, we all need to know ourselves. We need to know ourselves. I'm relatively new here, but I noticed that uh people in Chicago, you guys, you're like living in silos. Like, there's so much silos here, but we all need to know ourselves. So thank you for joining from Chicago. Ungadi Nelson, good morning. I see you. Good afternoon, wherever you are from. Do join, drop you're joining from. Hey, Michael, I see you. Michael Mugisha. Good morning, good afternoon. Oh wow! I was just sharing that I changed the hours because I was tied up with a speaking engagement in Bogota, Colombia, and we did that virtually. So Latin America is also prepping to engage in trade with Africa. So today's conversation is around policy engagement, policy management. I want to share it from two perspectives: from a policymaker, so a government with responsibility for policy creation and adoption, and then from what I would say business, private sector, who are supposed to be consumers and business people to be using policies. So I'll share from those two perspectives. If you did not watch what I shared yesterday, yesterday I actually talked about the various stakeholders when it comes to trade with Africa. Or was it 2 days ago? I'm mixing things up. Okay, Ngadi says Lekki. Oh my goodness, you need to be safe, Mr. Namdi. We're watching and our prayers go out to everybody in Nigeria. Please, stay safe. Stay safe. That's the key. And stay calm and I know there are so many emotions running high right now, but try and manage that and so that you can think and do the right thing for you and your community. Okay, so as I was saying, if you watched, was it Tuesday now? Tuesday or Wednesday? My days run really fast. I shared the various stakeholders. I shared you have investors, you have government, you have trade experts, you have exporters, you have buyers. I shared what those people, what roles, and I asked everybody, what role are you going to play? Right? Today, I want to talk about policy management from two perspectives. Private sector in terms of policy engagement, and then policy government officials in terms of implementing the right policy. So let's start with the government because I've been in training. And one thing I also want to share, I'm making those training available. Let me post the link and see if this thing works. If you go to this link, you can actually access, you can purchase and access this almost 3.5 long condensed training on trade and investment facilitation that is going to help you prepare to be a part of what we're saying, the work, to do the work and to benefit from trade with Africa. Because I challenge people, you can watch what's happening, you can talk about what's happening, but if you're not in the arena, if you're not in the game, if you're not playing the game, you're just spectator, right? And that if that's what you want to do, that's fine because I have contacts that are all they're doing, they're reporters, journalists, and they're just reporting on what's happening. And that's okay if that's what you want to do. But if you want to participate in trade and you want to transact, then this training is where you want to start. I just included the link right now. So, from a policymaker standpoint, part of what we share and we educate them on is making sure that you have enabling policies for two categories of groups of people. But you have to prioritize because they've been prioritizing maybe the wrong set. I don't know. But there's policy that favors external parties coming into your market, right? You can have policies that favors market penetration into your market. But there are also policies that protect your market and stabilizes the internal economic development within your market. What we have found is that the last 20, 30 years, because Africans have leaned heavily into directions coming from external parties interested in their market, a lot of the policies, external parties were prioritized ahead of internal dynamics. And then they wonder, we've been doing everything you want us to do. How come our market is not growing? I'm like, you don't understand. If you're doing everything Europe wants you to do, and you're doing what everything America wants you to do, who do you think will benefit? If that is what you're prioritizing, you know? So that's one of the things we now say, yes, be aware, your policies, two-faced policy. One is external facing, external players looking to penetrate your market. Your policy, they want your policies, they want you to lower barriers so that they can penetrate your market, pretty much. But there are also policies that would increase internal transactions and grow your GDP, right? GDP is about internal transactions. So if you're not growing trade within your market and people are coming in and going out, they come in, they bring in their investments and they leave with their ROI, return on investment. They come in with their investment and they are like exiting. And you're like, hey, why is this market not growing? It's because your policies need to consider not just external players, it also needs to look at internal players. Are businesses growing in your country? Are you creating more Dangotes? Are you creating enabling environments for technology firms, for all of the internal transactions that the private sector within your country needs for transactions to grow. That's one challenge we're seeing right now. That which one are you prioritizing? Are you prioritizing internal dynamics in terms of policy management, or are you prioritizing external players? It's a question that I pose to policymakers. So that's the dynamic we're seeing on the policy side. On the private sector side, I'm telling you, we have work to do. In Nigeria, we say we have work to do. Oh, like you put like to emphasize the importance and the significance. So let me break it down. Typically, when you are creating policies, private sector should have a seat at the table. In fact, your private sector needs to be a few steps, whether in innovation, in technology. They need to be several steps ahead of policy. Policy should be trying to play catch up. But what we're finding is reverse. The private sector in Africa is trying to play catch up to something like the AFCFTA. The private sector is like in the dark. They're like, AFCFTA, what does it mean? What opportunities? Okay, AGOA. What is AGOA? How can I use AGOA? Because they were never included. They didn't have a seat at the table. They weren't sensitized enough. They weren't educated enough. So now you have things like AGOA that has been on the books for 20 years that creates opportunities. And then you say, why is AGOA not working? Why are people not using AGOA? It's because when you have trade policies on paper that has been signed by politicians, if the private sector doesn't know how to use it, it will just die there. It will die because it's the private sector that would lead the future of Africa. And that's why a lot of the training, we're not doing export development training, trade facilitation training for private sector, because the future of Africa will be determined by the private sector. In fact, the private sector is supposed to lead. When you think about innovation, if you're waiting for the government to innovate, is that going to happen? But then you also have innovate like Bitcoin policies. Bitcoin will happen before policies to support Bitcoin would emerge, right? Digital disruption happens, and then the government will be chasing and say, oh, wow, how can we make sure there's enabling environment? The central banks, they're going to race after Bitcoin. Disruption is happening. The private sector disrupts. That's what they should be doing. They should be innovating. They should be creating new opportunities. And then the policymaker should be saying, oh, wow, we need to, we need to manage these. We need to regulate all of those things. But what we're finding is the reverse. AFCFTA, African Continental Free Trade Agreement. The reason we're so involved at Nazaru and we're leading with training is because we're finding that the political leader on the continent, they are the ones leading AFCFTA. And now the private sector is playing catch up. That's what we're finding. So if you're playing catch up, you have to fast track your learning. Excuse me. And that's what we're doing at Nazaru to say, hey, we're bundling information, we're bundling resources so that the private sector will not be in the dark. Because if you don't know how to use all of this capacity or how to engage, then you are waiting. What are you waiting for? So that's kind of like I try to sum up. That's just a summary of it. But in terms of if you want to know how do you engage? How do you understand why trade is more powerful than aid? Those are the things we talk about. How do you learn what digital disruption means to you and your business in the future of Africa, and how you position your brand today? We share things like, trade opportunities are digital right now. How do you go after that? That's what that training, that link is for. So we are doing our part. I tell you, I get pulled into different conversations, and every time I look around, I'm not seeing private sector players. Private sector, where are you? Are you leading? Are you showing up? Because all of these opportunities, I tell you, non-Africans are the ones reaching out to me the most. I just shared now, I just got off a dynamic engagement with Latin America. There were so many people on that call. The questions were incredible. We talked about tourism, export, import, education, agriculture. I also presented the Nazaru framework that drives trade and investment engagement. So we're trying our part. But one thing I would also say is we're in the private sector. when we went into this space, it's to support private sector, but we also know that we have to engage with policy leaders as well. So that's what I have for today in the short form. But if you want to learn more, if you want to access and prepare and acquire knowledge, then the link to the trade and investment facilitation masterclass is right there. When you sign up, you're going to be able to access recording, 2 different recordings, and then you automatically get signed up for the live engagement with me October 31st. So there are 3 benefits. You access 2 different recording, totaling almost 6 hours. And then you would also access another 3 hours of live engagement with myself and different people from around the world. And I'll be live answering tactical questions you're going to have. How do I export? What products do I export? What are the opportunities? How do I showcase all of those tactical questions I'll be answering as part of the trade and investment facilitation masterclass. So that's the best we can do, is to package all of this wealth of information and deliver it in in total, about 9 hours of knowledge. Ah, so yeah, that's what we're doing. So that's it. If you do you have any questions that quick questions I could help? If not, this week I'm trying something new. I'm showing up every day, even if it's for 10 minutes or 15 minutes, and just saying, hey, I'm here. We're here to help you at Nazaru. And watch out for the new announcement we'll be making in a few days' time about a new capacity building tool that we're launching. We've loaded exporter information. You're going to be able to present and register your business and present your business, and we'll be able to share it with the rest of the world, and you'll be able to attract buyers. That's something we're launching in a few days. So, Aji, I see you from Senegal. Thank you so much for joining. It was so fascinating almost 2 weeks ago when I engaged with leaders from about 14 African countries, training them as well to say, hey, there's more demand coming in for Africa, but we have to engage differently with different stakeholders. And we went down through so many topics. And so if you want to learn more, do sign up today. I look forward to engaging with you. Also, you can email us at info@nazaru.com, and we'll be able to help you. We worked with our clients to help them understand where in Africa should they be looking at, what opportunities exist. There's also bilateral opportunities, so import, export, and also dynamic investment opportunities as well. So on that note, I'm going to bid you farewell right now. So email if you have any questions, okay? It's been an honor. I'll see you tomorrow, and have a good